The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ilana stepped onto the crystalline platform, her boots echoing against the translucent floor. Around her, representatives from 47 species watched with what she could only interpret as condescension. The Varath delegate's thermal organs pulsed with amusement. She'd learned to recognize that particular pattern of heat signatures through her visor's display. "The human wishes to address the council," Ambassador Zexthor announced, his mandibles clicking in barely concealed mockery. "Though we wonder what insights a species blind to half the electromagnetic spectrum could possibly offer regarding the Chromatic Nebula mission." Ilana kept her expression neutral, though her jaw tightened. Beside her, James's hand briefly touched her shoulder, a gesture of support invisible to most species present. His dark eyes met hers for a moment, and she saw the familiar spark of defiance there. "With respect, Ambassador," Ilana began, her voice steady and clear, "humanity may not perceive infrared or ultraviolet without technological assistance, but our visual capabilities are far from limited." A rippling sound moved through the chamber, the galactic equivalent of laughter. The Kirnathi representative, whose species could see well into the ultraviolet spectrum, literally glowed with amusement. "Limited?" Zexthor's thermal vents flared. "Humans possess merely 3 types of color receptors. The Varath have 17. The Kirnathi have 12. Even the aquatic Delphani have 8. Your visual spectrum is a narrow slit in a vast window." James stepped forward, unable to contain himself any longer. "3 receptors," he said, his voice cutting through the ambient mockery. 3 receptors that allow us to distinguish approximately 10 million different colors. The laughter died. "Impossible," hissed a Kirnathi elder. "More receptors equal more color discrimination. This is fundamental biology." Ilana pulled up a holographic display, her fingers dancing across the interface. "It's not about the number of receptors, Ambassador. It's about how the brain processes the information. Human color vision operates on an opponent process model. Our neural pathways don't just receive signals. They compute differences, contrasts, and relationships between wavelengths." The hologram shifted, displaying the human visual cortex in stunning detail. "We don't see 17 different bands of light. We see infinite gradations within 3. Our brains create colors that don't even exist as single wavelengths. Magenta, for instance, doesn't appear anywhere on the electromagnetic spectrum. We invented it." "Absurd," Zexthor said. But his thermal signature had shifted to something resembling uncertainty. James picked up where Ilana left off, warming to the subject. "The Chromatic Nebula mission failed for every species that attempted it, because you were all looking for distinct spectral bands. The navigation markers left by the precursors don't work that way. They're not designed to be seen in infrared or ultraviolet ranges." He expanded the hologram, showing the nebula's complex swirling patterns. "They're designed to be seen in combinations. Subtle variations in hue, saturation, and brightness that only make sense to a visual system that prioritizes color relationships over spectral range." Ilana pulled up the next display, the same nebula image processed through various species' visual capabilities. Through Varath eyes, the nebula was a chaotic mess of thermal signatures. Through Kirnathi perception, it was a bland collection of discrete ultraviolet bands. But through human eyes enhanced and displayed on the screen, a pattern emerged. A clear, unmistakable pathway through the deadly radiation clouds. "By all the stars," whispered the Delphani observer, her bioluminescence dimming in what Ilana recognized as shock. "Color isn't just about seeing more frequencies," Ilana continued. "It's about extracting meaning from the information you receive. Human evolution occurred on a world with a single star, filtered through a specific atmosphere. We didn't need to see infrared heat signatures because we developed sweat glands and complex social communication. We didn't need ultraviolet vision because we evolved sophisticated pattern recognition instead." James brought up the final image, a complete map of the Chromatic Nebula's safe passages, visible only when processed through human-equivalent color perception. The precursors were testing for something specific. Not the ability to see the most light, but the ability to see the relationships between colors, to perceive gradients, to detect subtle shifts that indicate meaning rather than just data. This is why, Ilana said softly, humanity is requesting to lead the Chromatic Nebula expedition, not despite our limited vision, but because of it. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Zexthor's thermal organs had shifted to a pattern Ilana had never seen before. Through her visor's translator, she received the interpretation, profound respect. The council, Zexthor said slowly, appears to have underestimated the creativity of evolution on Sol 3. Ambassador Ilana, Commander James, humanity's petition is granted. As they left the chamber, James leaned close to Ilana. Think they'll stop mocking human senses now? Ilana smiled, watching the aliens around them with her supposedly inferior eyes, seeing things in their expressions and movements that their own superior sensors couldn't detect about each other. Maybe, but I doubt we'll tell them about our sense of taste having 10,000 distinguishable flavors, or our ability to detect individual molecules through smell, or our hearing's ability to extract a single voice from a crowd of thousands, or our proprioception, or our, let's not give away all our advantages at once, James grinned. They walked toward their ship, two humans among the stars, carrying the torch of a species that had learned long ago that limitation often bred innovation. The galaxy had judged them by their restrictions and found them wanting, but humanity had always excelled at succeeding precisely where others expected them to fail. The Chromatic Nebula awaited, and with it, whatever secrets the precursors had, left for those wise enough to see not just more light but more meaning within it.